have to talk about the most important things of the day. The session is about to come back in a few minutes. But before we go back, I want two things. Your thoughts, are you for or against the BBI? And if you're for it, why are you for the BBI? And if you're against it, what are some of the things that you feel in the BBI do not satisfy you? Okay, and I will also give you a brief summary of my own analysis of some of the judgments that have been made, or some of the rulings the judges have read the rulings so far. I'll tell you, especially we'll look at Justice Fatuma Sichale's judgment, which is quite interesting, and it will help you also understand what they will be talking about as they head in. Okay, so give me your comments on, are you for or against the BBI? Okay, let's just play the bumper because we have it. Okay, so before they come back at the Court of Appeal, you should know a couple of things. These are some of the things that they are addressing, that the judges are addressing so far. And the basics are a majority ruling by the judges. There's seven judges. If 4 judges agree, then that their judgment will stand. The minority will lose. That's what you need to know. And so far, Justice Daniel Musinga, he's president of the Court of Appeal. He started by giving an overview and going over the petitioner's submissions. And then we had Justice Francis Tuyot, Justice Gatembu Cairo. They have already made their judgments. And also Justice Fatuma Sichale. And this is the one that I followed very keenly. The other 2 judges, Justice Gatembu Cairo and Justice Francis Tuyot, those judgments are quite lengthy. They're more than an hour long. Actually, Justice Fatuma Sichale's was 1 hour 7 minutes. And so out of the 1 hour 7 minutes, these are the issues that the judges are addressing. And this is what it will also help you understand more about the BBI. So the first thing is the basic structure doctrine. And this is basically the Constitution of Kenya. Some of the amendments that we can make, can they alter the document so much that it becomes something else entirely, just like writing another new constitution? Are there some very fundamental things in the constitution that if you change them, the constitution will lose meaning? And this is she highlighted this. She started by talking about the petitioner's arguments and what they said, and of course, most of the petitioners argued that Kenyans basically have come from a traumatic period where big politicians and the political elite, the political class and the elite could easily manipulate the constitution, and it will work for them and not for the people. And so we've come from the traumatic era. In fact, there's a case she referred of Paul Ngei during the era of Jomo Kenyatta, where he lost in an election because he had committed an election offense. And what they did, they doctored the constitution, they amended the constitution in parliament, and he was basically absolved of the election offenses he had committed. So the argument was, are there things that we can change about the constitution that will make it lose its relevance? She mentioned 2 things. One is the process of changing the constitution. If it is too rigid, then it will force a revolution. It might force a revolution. If it's too hard for you to change what is in the constitution, then it will force people to come up with a revolution. But then again, if it's too easy to amend the constitution, it becomes meaningless. And so we can't just say that we will make it so hard to amend the constitution, or we will make it so easy that anybody can wake up and say, I don't like this thing in the constitution, and they would change it. In those 2 cases, in those 2 extremes, the constitution would lose its meaning. And so her argument was that it should be, we should find a balance. And this is, I've also gotten to learn a lot about the BBI from her judgment. In fact, there are some of the quotes that she said, that I like this particular part where she talked about present and future generations should not be ruled by the dead hand of their ancestors. So there are things about the 1960s and 70s that were relevant to that generation, but in 2021, they might not necessarily apply, and we should not be held by what the ancestors saw as right because times have changed. And that was her argument. And she concluded by saying that the findings of the High Court were not supported by the context, structure, and the history of the Constitution 2010. And so she disagreed with the High Court on the basic structure doctrine. In fact, that the ruling of the High Court was not in context regards to this Constitution. Okay, I hope am I speaking? Are you guys in the studio understanding what I'm saying? So I'm not speaking my own things here, and so I'm just trying to tell you some of the things that they address. So number one, it was I'll be reading your comments in just a second. Just give me a time, just a few minutes to go through this. We're almost getting there. We're almost getting there because they're coming back, and I want you to also see that live proceeding. But the second was the role of President Uhuru Kenyatta in the BBI process, and this according to Justice Fatuma Sichale, talked about the handshake, which initiated the BBI process. And according to her, the president cannot initiate a popular initiative because it is very hard to distinguish when the president is acting as president and when he is acting on his personal capacity. So when we elect you as president, she gave the example of if you join the military or if you join a disciplined force, in as much as there are fundamental human rights for you, but you chose to be in a disciplined force. So that comes with consequence. And so even for a judge, they have to be a judge 24/7 because that's how they will be judged. And so it is very hard to distinguish when the president is yes, when the president Kingston is acting on personal capacity and when he is acting as president, it is indistinguishable. So she said the president cannot initiate a popular initiative. And in regards to the BBI task force and the legality of the whole committees that were formed to form the BBI, her conclusion was those task forces were not illegal outfits. They followed procedure. The third one was about the IEBC, about the quorum of the IEBC. How many commissioners does the IEBC need for it to properly function? She made two arguments that at least the Constitution requires at least 3 commissioners and a maximum of 9. So if the IEBC has at least 3 commissioners and that's provided in the Constitution, then it means it can perform its functions. And she argued that there are two bodies of the IEBC. That's the commissioners and the secretariat. And the secretariat is the one that is in charge of running the day-to-day tasks. And this was in regards to whether the IEBC was properly constituted to conduct signature verification. And which brings me to the next point, and you should be looking out for this in the next, as the judges give their judgments, they will be addressing this thing. So each of the judges has different views and about this and different conclusions about this. So you should watch out for that. The third one was the verification of signatures. She used a term here. It will be a Herculean task, which means it's impossible for the IEBC to verify all the signatures. It doesn't make any sense, the process of signature verification, because 1 million people, you would have to have forensic analysis of all of those signatures to make sure that the person who signed is indeed the real person, and you would have to have a repository of that information so that you verify that each individual who signed the petition is actually the person who basically to verify. And she was like, the whole verification of signatures, it doesn't sound practical how the IEBC says that they indeed conducted a signature verification process. That is Justice Fatuma Sichale. In terms of there's another thing from the BBI. Formation of constituencies, because the BBI has suggested the formation of 70 new constituencies. Right now, the Constitution provides for 290 constituencies. In her view, she says that clause of that particular article of the Constitution is amendable. It is not written in stone that we will never have to change the number of constituencies we have as a country because it was written in the Constitution. She says it is amendable, and in fact, she says that people have the right to increase or reduce the number of constituencies because of representation. It's an issue of representation, and we can agree that at some point, if the population grows and the distribution of resources is not enough, if your constituency is too big, that the amount of money you get is not distributed in an equal way or in an equitable manner in the constituency, then we can actually decide to split it so that we are represented differently. So those are the issues that you should look out for. Remember, the issue of the basic, it's called the basic structure doctrine, and I know there's a lot of legal jargon basically, but that the issue of the basic structure doctrine is it possible for us to make some amendments in the Constitution that it becomes a whole other document? That's what you need to know about that. And if the BBI is going to change the Constitution in a way that it becomes a whole different document altogether. As I said, yeah, the explanation is Kenya has come from a phase where politicians abused their powers and they changed the Constitution the way they wanted. So that is Justice Fatuma Sichale's judgment. So Justice Francis Triot has also given his judgment. Justice Gatembu Cairo also. And now we're going to wait for the rest and see the majority of the judges who agree with the BBI process means then we are going to, it is going to be allowed. David, let me read some of your comments. BBI is a snake. I had asked, are you for or against the BBI? Let me just sift through some of your comments and see. Against, this is Kevin Mange, against Gambi Nix, against Joshua, yes, you for the BBI deputy principal, none of the above. Geoffrey Kamau, yes for it. Kibet Vincent, you're saying BBI must fall now. Sikoli Wafula wanasema mambo ya BBI wachia koti na wanasiasa. The rest of Kenyans can only understand the language of null and void or overturn. Okay, if you don't want to understand these things, then power to you, Sikolia. Well, but the we'll be live back to the Court of Appeal. Let me see if they have returned, and so we can have more discussion on this. So I can give you more context. Have they returned? Anybody follow? Oh yes, they're back. We are back at the Court of Appeal. So that is all you needed to know about the BBI. So as you go watch the submissions, now you know what to expect and what to look for in at the Court of Appeal. Well, that's where we end Speed Feed for today. Thank you for watching. My name is Kimani Mbogwa. We'll see you again on Monday. Good luck. God bless. Stay safe.